Okay, we are talking hormone health, the basic building blocks of biology. Cells depend on hormones for communication. Cells have evolved over billions of years to be social, to be neighborly, to be cooperative. We can certainly learn a lot from cells, 100 trillion individual components coming together in a community to form us. We emerge out of these 100 trillion cells that are ordinarily or under ordinary circumstances, when they're independent, are little on their own conscious independent beings when they exist by themselves. If you take a skin cell or a tongue cell or any cell out of your body, a bone cell or muscle cell or nerve cell, and you put it in a little petri dish, that little cell will act just like an animal. It'll move, it'll crawl, it'll go away from poisons, it'll go towards food. It can actually communicate with other cells that are in the body. There's a really neat book called The Secret Lives of Cells, where a guy named Clive Baxter actually did testing on cells and took cells out of people's bodies and put them in petri dishes, and then he did things to the people or talked to the people, and the cells that were in the petri dish actually responded to what the people who where the cells used to be, the beings that the cells used to be in. The cells, when they were removed from the bodies, actually responded to whatever that person was doing, or whatever that person was watching or observing, or whatever was the environment that person was in actually affected the cell that had been removed out of that person and was now in a petri dish 20 feet away. There's some amazing, amazing stuff about cells. The book is called The Secret Lives of Cells by Clive Baxter, if you're interested in checking that out. Anyway, cells have to communicate to each other in order to be a community. That's how 100 trillion cells, an enormous number. Can you imagine 100 trillion cells? Somehow these 100 trillion cells can efficiently coordinate themselves to a degree that this homogeneous, monolithic organism, like a human being, can emerge and not even realize that he or she is composed of these 100 trillion individual units. This communication property is so important. We could not exist. Multicellular organisms could not exist if there was not some way of communicating, if there's not some system that cells had to communicate with each other. And this communicating ability, the cell-to-cell communication ability, is super important to understand if we're going to understand health and wellness. This cell-to-cell communication property allows cells to be aware of the environment that the body is in. When we see something, when we hear something, or when we in some fashion interact with our environment, we taste something or feel something, those are called senses. When we sense something, that input goes to our brain, which then sends that message to various glands. We see a picture, or we hear a voice or a song. That sound goes into our ears and goes into our brain. And then from our brain, signals are sent to the various glands, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, thymus gland. And then from the gland, hormones are then secreted into the blood. And from there, they hook up with cells, initiating activity. In this way, cells can actually respond. Cells that are inside the body can respond to what's happening outside the body. Cells will get this hormonal message from the thymus or the adrenals or the thyroid. Cells will make something, perhaps do something. And in this way, cells are responsive to what's happening outside of the body. But a cell's also responsive, to its local environment, the environment that the cell is sitting in. In other words, a cell is responsive to the external environment that the body is in, and a cell is responsive to the milieu that it is sitting in. And just like hormone signals make their way from the brain to the blood, to cells in the case of a sight or a sound or a touch or smell or taste, ultimately, hormone signals are actually sent from cell to cell based on what that cell is sitting in, the local environment that the cell is sitting in. And then, likewise, appropriate behaviors or activities are initiated in a cell. So a cell is doing its business based on two types of input. One, stuff that's happening to the body on the outside. And two, stuff that's happening to the local environment that the cell is sitting in. So hormones, which are the mediators, the communicating molecules that are sending the messages to the cells from either the outside of the body or inside of the body, can be thought of as the key determining factor. This is the bottom line. Hormones are the key determining factor that's going to affect what happens inside a cell, what a cell does. And defects in hormone communication, whether it has to do with defects or deficiencies in the hormones themselves, or in the way the cell listens and responds to these hormones, is the ultimate and immediate cause of degenerative disease as well as the aging process. You think that's important? You better believe it's important. Hormones are the key determining factor in what is going to happen in a cell for better or for worse. That means if you're healthy, the cell's responding correctly, the hormones are working correctly. If you're not healthy, the cells are not responding correctly, or the hormones are somehow not communicating the message correctly. Bottom line is these signaling messenger molecules, hormones, are very, 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 very important. Now, there's 4 types of these hormone molecules. The most well-known, the ones we talked about in the past, the ones we talked about yesterday, those are called endocrine hormones, thyroid hormone, insulin, estrogen. Those are going to travel through the bloodstream. They start off in a gland, be it the thyroid or the ovaries or wherever, adrenal glands, pancreas gland. They start off in the gland, they travel through the blood, and they finally, at the end of the day, at the end of their journey, they react with specific cells in the body and then initiate activities. Cells obediently do nothing without being activated by one of these hormone substances is made in the gland, then journeys through the bloodstream until it finds a specific cell. These gland products that travel in the blood are called endocrine hormones. All right, hang tight. We'll finish up when we come back from our break and take your phone calls as well. 855-660-4261 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us today. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. You'll find a shopping cart up on brightsideben.com with all the longevity products you hear us advertise on the program. If you're interested in purchasing any of the products, just pull down on the shopping cart, or you can call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. Make sure you ask about joining the Brightside Ben team as well for a one-time $10 fee. You can start yourself a longevity business and join me in my mission to educate the world about how important a good nutritional supplement program can be. If you're interested in building a business, I can help you do that as well. I'm actually looking for 2 or 3 good business builders, people who want to start a good, healthy, nutritional business, not just to make money, but also to help folks, to help change lives. That's indeed what a good nutritional supplement program can do, and that's what Dr. Wallach and the longevity folks have been doing now for going on 18 or 19 years. I've been involved with longevity since 1997, and I can't tell you how many people I've seen change their lives, lose 50 pounds, 70 pounds, 100 pounds, 20 pounds, get off their prescription medication, lower their blood pressure, just feel better using the longevity products that Dr. Wallach designed. You can find out all about it by calling the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470 or heading over to brightsideben.com and clicking on the Join the Team link. If you're interested in joining us in our weekly phone calls, myself and Dixie Sedgwick do a weekly phone call on various health subjects and the longevity products. You can call in. These are Sunday evenings, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. The dial-in number is 605-562-3140, 605-562-3140, and the participant access code 444-973-pound. I usually do about 15 or 20 minutes on a subject. We've done diabetes in the past, and ADD, and vaccinations, and ALS. I think we're going to do ALS actually this week. We've done autoimmunity in the past, and then we take questions for the last 10 or 15 minutes. The whole call lasts about 25 minutes to half an hour, and it's a great way to introduce potential customers, potential clients, the longevity products, the longevity ideas, and it's a great way just to learn some good stuff, some good health information. That's really, at the end of the day, what all of this is about, is sharing information, help spreading the word. Okay, let's see. 855-660-4261 is our number. 855-660-4261 is our number. Hop on board early so we can get to as many calls as possible. We'll get your calls here in just a couple minutes at the bottom of the hour. So, got 4 kinds of hormones we're talking about. Hormones are the signaling molecules. They're either sent from the brain via glands, via the blood to various cells of the body, or sometimes not. Sometimes they go right into various parts of the body and they bypass the blood. Other times, and this is what we're really going to start talking about, this is why I introduced the whole subject of hormones. Other times, hormones are secreted right from a cell. Right from a cell, and then they come out and they turn around and they affect that cell. Or they'll be secreted right from a cell, not a gland, not the thyroid gland or the thymus gland or any of the glands. They'll come right from a cell. They'll get secreted out. They'll turn around and they'll affect the behavior either that cell or neighboring cells. Those are really cool substances. We'll talk about that here in just a minute or two, or might get to that tomorrow, actually. I want to finish up the idea of the endocrine hormones. The endocrine hormones, those are the most famous ones. Those are the ones everybody talks about when they talk about their hormones. These endocrine hormones come from glands. They go through the blood. There's two different kinds, two major kinds. The most well-known are called the steroid hormones. And while most scientists will tell you that the steroid hormones are derived from cholesterol, I like to think of the steroid hormones as being types of cholesterol. I think it's more illustrative and it really has more impact to understand that the steroid hormones, these growth and repair and anti-aging hormones, so important for helping us handle life. Anti-stress hormones and growth hormones and immune-stimulating hormones. These hormones of life, of growth, of repair, of anti-aging are not merely derived from cholesterol. They are cholesterol. They're types of cholesterol. This is so important because we have cholesterol mania in this culture. Cholesterol mania says we got to shut down cholesterol. It's so important to shut down cholesterol. We'll actually take drugs. There are people even talking about taking drugs or putting drugs in the water, or giving drugs to kids to suppress cholesterol production. I've said so many times on this program, if you have problems with cholesterol, you got a biochemical problem, and shutting down, or i.e. poisoning, cholesterol manufacturing is asinine. It's idiotic. Idiotic. It is one of the dumbest, and there's a lot of dumb ones, it's one of the dumbest health strategies, medical strategies ever, shutting down this vital hormone. And when you understand that the steroid hormones are types of cholesterol, you're shutting those down too when you take a statin drug. These steroid hormones, these types of cholesterol, are responsible for initiating activities that provide the body, the cells, with long-term support, growth, breaking things down, stress management, immunity. These things that are responsible for long-term effects. And the fact that these hormone signaling substances, these steroid hormones, are all versions of cholesterol reveals two very important aspects about this craziness, this nonsense, this biochemical ignorance that's represented by cholesterol mania, the boneheaded idea that it is somehow in the organism, in our long-term health interest, to poison cholesterol production machinery. First of all, it tells us if cholesterol levels are too high, somehow the machinery has gotten the idea that the body needs to be building or breaking down or managing stress more effectively. In other words, if you got elevated blood cholesterol, it's the body's attempt to deal with either a stress or a perceived need for building or breaking down. Something is telling the cells that there's a need for building or breaking down or stress management. Something is telling the cells it needs to be making more cholesterol in order to provide these hormones. Something is communicating to the cells that growth is required, that stress management is required. And guess what? Elevations in blood sugar and insulin are the prime suspects. Elevations in blood sugar and insulin communicate to the cholesterol-making cells, hey, let's make more cholesterol because the body needs to grow. That's what sugar and insulin tell the body. Sugar and insulin tell the body it's time to grow. So cells get the message, okay, well, let's make more cholesterol. Cholesterol is important for growth and repair. And this is what elevations in blood cholesterol largely represent. Elevations in blood sugar and insulin. Likewise with digestive distress or disease or emotional or mental stresses or surgery or exercise. Excessive exercise especially. These are all possible causes of elevated cholesterol, and only the most biochemically ignorant of medical professionals, and that covers a lot of them, would think a statin drug is an appropriate response to high cholesterol that follows elevations in insulin or elevations in blood sugar. It is no coincidence that elevations in cholesterol and diabetes go hand in hand. A second thing that the fact that steroid hormones are versions of cholesterol tell us is the fact that cholesterol is important, really important. I was in Portland last week doing a presentation. There was a guy in the audience who insisted that cholesterol was the same as mucus. Now, he was a seemingly intelligent guy, but he had been convinced that somehow cholesterol, which is a fatty, waxy substance, and mucus, which is a slimy protein substance, were somehow equivalent. Now, aside from the fact that this guy's understanding of chemistry is way off, I mean, these are two completely different things, mucus and cholesterol, what he was really trying to tell me, what he was really trying to express was this craziness that seems to be endemic in our culture, that somehow cholesterol is bad stuff. That's what he was really saying. Cholesterol is bad stuff. And this idea that the cholesterol is a toxin or a poison or bad stuff has been promoted by profiteering drug companies to the extent that the average person and even the medical professional is obsessed with the notion that lowering blood cholesterol numbers on a blood test is somehow healthy for us. All right, hang tight. We're coming back with more good health information on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Don't go away. Are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben, and let me just finish up a couple of things. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the really, really neat hormones that nobody talks about, that nobody even mentions. Even endocrinologists don't really talk about these other hormones. And these are the kind of hormones that come right out of a cell and turn around, do a U-turn, and affect the cell that they came out of. Or sometimes they'll come out of a cell and affect local cells in the neighborhood. They don't go through glands. They don't go through the blood. They actually just work super locally. They're very, very rapidly acting, and they're unbelievably important. And deficiencies in these hormones are associated with lots of degenerative diseases, and they're associated with aging as well, especially accelerated aging. So it's a shame that nobody talks about these. And guess what? You can use nutritional supplements to support these very important hormones, quick-acting hormones that come right out of a cell and affect that cell or affect neighboring cells. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Let me just finish up a couple things here, then we'll get to your phone calls. And we do have a couple lines open at 855-660-4261. I like to think of the steroid hormones as being types of cholesterol, even though most nutritionists or chemists will say, well, they're derived from cholesterol. I like to think of them as types of cholesterol. If your cholesterol levels are too high, you want to think of, for some reason, the body or cells have gotten the message that they need to be cranking out cholesterol. They need to be making cholesterol. Why? Well, cholesterol is a building substance, so somehow the cells have gotten the message that they need to be building. Cholesterol is an anti-stress substance, so somehow the cells have gotten the idea there's some kind of burden on the body. So burdens on the body, the need for growth, the perceived need for growth are behind hypercholesterolemia, too much cholesterol in the blood. Shutting down production is not smart. That's never smart. Poisoning, that's basically poisoning the system. Not a good idea. So if you have high cholesterol, first thing you want to do is look for some kind of stressor in the body, and usually that stressor is going to be sugar, and that's why diabetes and blood sugar problems go hand in hand with too much cholesterol. Second thing that the fact that steroid hormones are a version of cholesterol tells you is that cholesterol is important. Despite the fact that we have this idea, this mythology in our culture that cholesterol is somehow bad stuff and needs to be shut down, production needs to be shut down, cholesterol is mega, mega important. All the steroid hormones come from cholesterol, or at least are types of cholesterol. Another interesting subject to ponder about cholesterol and cholesterol mania is this whole idea of estrogen and testosterone replacement therapy. How ironic is it, on the one hand, we think we need to suppress our cholesterol production with drugs, and on the other hand, we think we need to be on hormone replacement therapy, which in essence is giving the body versions of cholesterol. It underscores how crazy this idea is of shutting down cholesterol production using drugs. Estrogen is cholesterol, yet women will be taking estrogen replacement therapy and at the same time being on a statin drug. Or men will be on testosterone replacement therapy and at the same time being on a statin drug. How about if we help the body make its own testosterone and estrogen? How about if we don't shut down cholesterol production? How about if we have appropriate cholesterol production by controlling our blood sugar, or by controlling our sugar intake and keeping our blood sugar low, keeping our insulin low? That's the way you want to lower cholesterol, is by keeping your blood sugar down, making sure that you keep your insulin down as well. And it's not fat, by the way, as much as it is sugar and refined carbohydrates that are responsible for elevated cholesterol production. So tomorrow we'll talk about, I'll talk a little bit more about progesterone and estrogen and testosterone and this whole idea of cholesterol being source, or being these hormones being forms of cholesterol. And then we'll talk about the really cool hormones that we don't hear a lot about, these local acting hormones that work really, really quickly and are behind much degenerative disease and anti-aging deficiencies in these quick acting hormones. I'll give you a clue. They're called eicosanoids. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the bright side. 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to James, who called in yesterday. I think we might have left James on hold. Thanks for calling back, James. What's going on, buddy? James, you got to speak up because I can't hear you. James? I don't know if that's me or you. James, I hate to do this, buddy, but I can barely hear you. You're like way, way off in the distance, so you got to call back. But call back, and I'll get you right up, okay? If you can hear me, call back, and I'll get you right up. Apologize for that. Okay, let's go to Kara in North Carolina. What's up, Kara? How you doing? Hey, I can't hear you either. I think that's us. I don't think that's... Aaron, or who's doing my production there? No, it's not them. It's something we're doing here. Let me try one more. Hang on, Kara. Don't go away. I'm going to put Kara back on hold, see if Melody is there. Melody there? Yeah, I think we got a phone problem here, guys. Melody?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Melody. Melody. All right. Hey, Kara, we'll get to you in a second, Kara, if you're listening. And then, James, please call back if you like, and we'll get to you as well. Sorry about the phone problem there. Melody, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm calling for my husband. He's 50 years old. He's healthy, other than he's got a really bad back now. He's had a physical job, a lot of heavy lifting.
He's 50, you said?
Constantly. Yeah, 50 years old.
Okay.
We're all on the longevity products. We're taking as much as we can of what you've been recommending. He's just went to see a back specialist. Is L5, S4.
Well, they're not going to help him. You can go to. They're not going to be able to help.
I know.
So
I'm calling you.
Okay, so he's just got pain in the back pain kind of thing?
Yeah, lower back pain.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. First of all, when you got back issues, there's two major issues that you want to look at. One is mechanical and the other is chemistry or biochemical. Mechanical and biochemical. The mechanical issue, there's lots of great strategies. I love Rolfing. I've gone through several rounds of Rolfing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's a very intense. Have you heard of that? It's very intense massage where they'll go in and break scar tissue and straighten out parts of the body over the course of time. We hold our body different. Gravity kicks in. We hold our body incorrectly, and gravity kicks in. If we have knee pain or knee problems or feet problems or leg problems, that can cause issues with the back. So readjusting the body is very important from a mechanical standpoint. That's the first thing to think about. Then there's the biochemistry issue, and that involves inflammation. So what we want to do is we want to take a twofold approach for inflammation. Number one, we want to eliminate any inflammatory factors that are getting into the body. Guess what? Sugar is the prime suspect. That's the most important inflammatory factor that gets into the body on a regular basis. So you want to focus on keeping sugars down. Any pro-inflammatory foods, processed fats are also pro-inflammatory. Using more protein is a good strategy. And listen in for the next couple of days. We're going to talk about these hormones, these fast-acting hormones that come right out of a cell, and they're very, very important when it comes to inflammation. And we'll talk about nutritional strategies for helping work with that hormone system. But I'll give you a clue right now. Essential fatty acids are very, very important in this regard. Have your husband on the ultimate EFAs. I'd be taking 9 of them a day. Make sure he's using the glucosamine, the glucogel caps. I'd also be taking 9 of those a day as well. Digestive enzymes can help for back pain in two ways. Number one, they'll help him process his food better, and if he's got toxins that are getting into the digestive system through incompletely processed food, the ultimate enzymes can take care of that. Make sure you use some apple cider vinegar, and then also the ultimate enzymes can help. They can help with pain, directly with back pain and with inflammatory pain if you take them on an empty stomach. So you got your glucogel caps, you've got your digestive enzymes, which you should be taking on an empty stomach to get rid of pain, and taking on a full stomach to help digest his food. Staying away from problem foods, especially sugars and refined carbohydrates as well as fats, and then making sure he's on the ultimate essential fatty acids. And of course, the Healthy Start Pack goes without saying. The vitamin C in the Healthy Start Pack, you get 1,000 milligrams per 2 scoops. That's always a good idea. So if he's not, he said he's using the longevity products. Make sure he's using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but sipping on it. Don't take it all at once. You want to sip on it throughout the day. And please don't forget about the Rolfing and the massage. Thanks so much for your call, Melody. We're going to move on. If you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back from our break. James, don't go away. I want to talk to you. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. All right, we are back on The Bright Side. Let's go off to Washington and say hi to James again. What's up, James?
Hi, Ben.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm calling back about my daughter who had hives.
Okay. Have we talked to you? Did we talk to you in the past?
Yeah, on Tuesday. I was right at the end of the show.
Okay, so we didn't talk to you. I didn't tell you about the hives yet? I didn't tell you how to deal with hives. Hives is super easy to deal. Hives is an allergic reaction, nothing more, nothing less. And that means something has gotten into the body that has sparked up the defensive response. An allergic reaction is a defensive response. Whenever there's a defensive response, logic just dictates you ask, what is the offending agent? And many of the things that we consider to be doctor-driven or doctor-mandated diseases, in other words, diseases we have to go to the doctor for. I don't think that's the right way of saying it, but if there's many of the things that we just consider we have to go to the dermatologist or the doctor for, nothing more than the body's way of attacking or defending itself from some kind of offending agent. The body's way of protecting itself, a protective mechanism. Hives are a protective mechanism. There's chemicals that are released into the blood when an offending agent has entered into the body. These chemicals, specifically something called histamine and other kinds of chemicals, some of them are these hormone substances that we're going to talk about here in a couple of days, but generally speaking, histamine is the main bad guy when it comes to hives. That's why if you go to the doctor, they'll give you an antihistamine. Right? Anytime you're getting
on now.
Right? Well, why are they giving him giving your baby an antihistamine? Well, obviously histamine is a problem, so they're giving you an antihistamine. Intelligence would ask, or would dictate, you'd say to yourself, well, why is histamine being produced? Well, histamine is only produced when the body feels like it's being attacked. So, what's the offending agent? Well, I can't tell you for sure, but you can figure it out, James. First of all, you want to look to when the hives, when they flare up, or when she gets the hives, and then figure out what did your daughter put into her system within an hour, half an hour. Usually hives are pretty quick. So a half hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before. That's it. It's as simple as that, James. And then if the hives flare up, you want to say, well, what did she put in into the body when the hives flared up? Usually it's a food of some kind, almost always. Now, in addition to eliminating those foods, you can also use nutrition to help support the immune system and also help support the digestive system. Vitamin C is a natural antihistamine. It strengthens the immune system. She should be using vitamin C for sure. Zinc has pro-immunity properties, and kids are notoriously deficient in zinc, and they're burning through zinc quickly. Get her on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, have her sipping on that. And I would also, how old is your daughter, by the way?
4 years old.
Okay, so have her sip on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That should be plenty of nutrition for her. If you want to throw something else in, maybe 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams of zinc a day. But she's going to get enough zinc in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So 2 things you want to focus on are foods, and then making sure she's using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Last thing, support digestive health. Chances are she does have a history of, and I don't, I'm not being psychic here. I'm just telling you, chances are she's got a history of digestive issues, constipation or bloating or complaints. Usually, sometimes it's hard with a 4-year-old kid to ascertain because they don't express themselves as well. But if she holds her belly, or if you notice bowel movement problems or anything like that, you want to assume that there's some digestive issues going on. In addition to removing problem foods, have her do one of the Biolumin Nightly Essence every day, and maybe get on some of those those Beyond Organic products from Jordan Rubin. Does she have a history of digestive distress? Do you know?
I would say so.
Okay, well, there's your culprit right there, my friend. And really, it's not, it's important for a couple of reasons that you get to the bottom of this. Number one, hives are miserable. That's really, especially for a 4-year-old kid. The poor kid doesn't deserve to have this. And secondly, she's running higher risks for autoimmune diseases later on down the road. She's running higher risks for inflammatory issues later on down the road. She's running higher risks for acne and other skin problems later on down the road. Correct digestive problems now, and you can prevent problems later on down the road. And that's really the most important thing. Okay?
So is there anything like to calm the immune system?
Yes. Keep the stuff out of the body that is... You don't want to calm the immune system. The immune system is her friend.
Oh, yeah.
It's defending her. What you want to do is remove the offending agent. And you can support the immune system, as I was saying, with vitamin C and some of the other nutrients in the BTT, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Have her sipping on that. 3 things to do. Number 1, sip on the BTT. Number 2, remove offending agents. Figure out the offending agents and then remove them. And number 3, support digestive health using the probiotics. You might want to give her a little bit of the Z Radical also, which can support the digestive system.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you,
All right.
James. Thank you, buddy.
Thank
I appreciate your call. All right, moving on. Tara in North Carolina. Welcome to the bright side.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
I have had a yeast infection on my chest and torso area for 2 weeks now, and I went to the doctor and they prescribed me fluconazole.
That's a steroid. Yes, they gave you a steroid. Because that's their way they operate. They shut down. Steroids operate by that's an antifungal agent. I'm sorry, that's not a steroid. That kills fungus. Okay, great. So you kill the fungus. What are you going to do when you run out of medicine and the fungus comes back? Let's figure out what's causing the fungal infection. Fluconazole, and anytime you hear azole, A-Z-O-L-E, like miconazole or fluconazole or clotrimazole, that's a type of antifungal medication. Azole, A-Z-O-L-E, that tells you you're dealing with an antifungal medication. in any case, it'll work probably. It might work. I don't know if it will, but it might work. But here's the thing. If you have a fungal infection, you've got a bacterial problem. Ordinarily, bacteria, good bacteria, we call them probiotics, good bacteria and fungus live in balance. When you have a fungal infection, your good bacteria have been killed off, or I shouldn't say have been killed off, but are dying off, and the fungus are overgrowing. So this symbiotic balance, this relationship between fungus and bacteria is being thrown off by things like chlorine the water, antibiotics, etc. Kill those wrong foods, kill those bacteria, the fungus overgrow. So here's what you want to do. You want to start working with the bacteria in the gut, restoring those probiotics in the gut, get on the biolumin nightly essence, and start eating fermented food. That's the first thing. Secondly, fungus and sugar go together. So you got to keep your sugar intake down. I'm telling you, it seems like we say this for every caller, and we say it every day, because it is one of the single most important moves you can make, not just for fungal infections, but for longevity and for anti-aging, for cancer, for everything. Keep your sugar intake down. And that means more protein and more good fats. And speaking of good fats, coconut oil's got some antifungal properties, and that might help you. And then just building the immune system can also help, using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and vitamin C, etc. So making sure you've got a good nutritional basis, the Mighty 90, in your system, and that will help take care of that as well. So 3 things. Number 1, probiotics and good bacteria in the gut. Number 2, keep your sugar intake down. And number 3, support your immune system using good nutrition. That's how I would take care of your yeast infection. And the clotrimazole or fluconazole, or whatever azole medication you said, that'll help temporarily, probably will help temporarily, but your long-term goal should be to prevent the yeast from overgrowing, period. And a lot of people have this problem, even if it's not showing up obviously in the skin. Candida, which is a yeast problem, is really a significant health challenge that a lot of people deal with, and you're not going to get rid of Candida by taking anti-yeast medicine as effectively as you would by making sure you balance out your probiotics, make sure you got good bacteria, and you keep your sugar intake down. Not that you have the Candida, but it's the same idea. Does that help, Tara?
Yes, thank you, Ben.
Thank you. God bless. Good luck. Okay, got a couple more minutes. Barry in California. What's up? Welcome to the bright side.
Oh, good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
I was recently diagnosed with a disease called polycythemia vera.
Okay, I know about it.
Is
lots of blood cells, lots of cells.
Yes, the bone marrow is
making too many cells.
Too many red, white, and platelets.
Absolutely, and that's a big problem.
This is a mutation.
Well, let's hang on. Yes, it's a mutation. Everything's a mutation in the sense that everything's genetic. You know, nothing happens in the body without genes. But the question is why, or have the genetics gotten whacked out to the point where now your body feels like it needs, your cells feel like they need to be dividing like crazy? Why do the stem cells, why do the parent cells feel like they need to be producing lots and lots of red blood cells, lots and lots of white blood cells, and lots of platelets? Okay, that's the problem. So here's what you need to do, Barry, and this is very important because this is kind of this is a major principle of what I call the bright side philosophy. You don't take care of polycythemia vera without taking care of the underlying health issues. Polycythemia vera, too many cells, is just a description of what's happening in the body. It doesn't tell you anything. It's just a description. What we need to know is what the heck is going on, and the only way to do that is to look for other symptoms. Okay? You've got to have other health conditions. There's no polycythemia vera pixie dust that gets sprinkled on you, and all of a sudden you have polycythemia vera. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't mean to be facetious, but it's an important point. There's something else in the system, and this is where you need to be addressing, and it usually involves inflammation, and it usually involves food. Barry, how old are you, my friend? Barry?
Yes, I'm 63.
Okay. Barry,
Hello?
you got to know that you have had other health challenges, especially digestive health problems, for a long time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm out of time, but I'd love to work with you. Can you call us back tomorrow?
Yes, I can.
It's a very important subject, and I'd like to work with you personally, so call back tomorrow. All right. I'm Pharmacist Ben. That's all the time we have for today. Check out my website, brightsideben.com, and please join the Brightside Ben team. Click on the Join the Team link and start yourself a longevity business. Help me in my mission to educate the world about the importance of a good nutritional supplement program. Have yourselves a wonderful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you all later, folks. Bye for now.